Hey, how you guys doing? This is William Myers, Mantis Outdoors, and today we're going to be doing the first of many views in the Gauntlet review of this knife, which is the HC Bushcrafter from Wright Handcraft Designs. This knife is extremely comfortable in the hand, as all of LT knives are. Their handles are extremely well made. That's one of the reasons why I like them the way that I do. This is 1075 steel. It's 3/32 on the blade width. And at first I thought this was a flat grind, but it's actually a slight convex. But it's pretty much ground like a flat ground knife with a slight convex edge on it, which is gonna help provide some split for wood. And what we're gonna do now is, like I said, this is the first in the Gauntlet review. So in the Gauntlet review, we're gonna stick to some of this more simpler tests that we usually do, that you've all seen, so we can compare them to the other tests that we have done. So we're gonna do some splitting and some slicing and things like that. So let's get to it now. So with that slight convex edge, it's going to help you to get underneath of like say bark like this, and it's going to give some lift to it. It's going to help provide that just little extra bit that you need to easily debark limbs, things for crafts, whatever you're going to do with it. But as you can see, I'm debarking this birch rather easily with it. Slice is pretty good. So those paper fine shavings that I want would easily be lit with a ferro rod. Very, very fine papers. So let's test out the spine. LT Wright's spines on their knives. Obviously, if you've seen my videos when we went to their shop, they know how to put a spine on a knife. But let's just go ahead and test this out and get some real fine fibers for fire starting. Can't like that with a ferro rod, guys. Something's wrong. Alright, so as our standard test, what we're going to start out doing, we're going to start out by batoning. And basically what I want to do is I want to see how rough I can be on this edge. See if I can roll the edge, thin the edge out, dull the edge, blunt the edge. I'm just seeing what this knife is going to hold up to, how long that edge is going to hold up. So we're going to start out with some birch. We got some kiln dried oak over here, I guess. Oak or hickory? What is it? You said it was on the package?
Oakery.
Oh, oakery. Okay. So just getting this down pretty thin for a fire here. Let's do one more. Then I'm going to switch to some of this oak. I can see the bark on that one. That one's oak. This is going to be pretty tough for this knife. See what it does. See what the edge retention is after we do this.
It might handle it because it's thinner. I don't know. That wood right there, that's like the Thunderdome of freaking baton demos.
Yep, it's pretty rough. Just the only thing to make sure you do when you're doing rough wood like this is to keep straight armed, and so the knife doesn't cock back against you, and put your weight straight up and down over the wood that you're doing. That'll help.
Being this is kiln dry, this is a lot tougher than you're actually going to get in nature.
Well, that's why we do things like this, though. We want to test this blade. So as you can see, that came back to 0. It's one of the things that I was worried about. That's why I showed it in the camera. When we were batoning that hard oak wood, it had a nice bend in it. So that was another test of the knife to see that when we actually got through that wood, if it would come back to 0. So as you can see, it did. His heat treat, LT's heat treat, is amazing. Get it right pretty much every single time. So now that we did those tests, let's see if we can't do some finer stuff with this knife, some notchings and things like that. See how this edge is doing. I can already feel it's pretty good though. Look how juicy this pine is. One reason why I like to do pine like this is because the resins acts almost like friction once it comes in contact with the knife, and it can actually dull blades as well. A little bit of a knot there. Yeah, let's get through this cambrian layer. Nice clearing cut. Oh yeah, this stuff's full of resin. This would have been a fat wood knob. See that dark orange in there? Yeah. It's all resin filled wood. The tip's not breaking.
Now, in case people are wondering, they put a 2-stage patina on each blade at the shop. So each one is kind of unique. And that just helps protect it, being that it's 1075 high carbon steel.
Yeah. Something worth talking about is, well, one, your blade maintenance on this knife is going to be minimal just because of that patina. It's not going to say that you're going to be able to stick this thing, you know, in some salt water and then put it back in your sheath. But you know, you can pull this out, work with it all day, put it back in the sheath, pretty much not worry about it, other than maybe stropping it at night or something like that. So I mean, this is going to cut down on your blade maintenance. And as of right now, I'm really liking this knife. This is actually the first time that I've held one of these.
You know, it's kind of like Larry Roberts said in one of his recent videos. It might have been the Jesmic review that he did. You know, it's nice to see bushcraft knives starting to come out, getting away from this everything's got to be a 1/4 inch thick stuff.
Yeah.
Things are going back to being knives, not pry bars.
Right. So the reason why this is taking, I'm doing a lot of threads here because I'm testing the whole blade length. I'm concentrating on the back. See what that edge is still doing, coming up a little bit. See what the whole slice is. This edge has retained very well through all the torture that we have been doing. Yep, very good. All right, so let's go back into some more impact tests of this. And so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back to this hard oak, which this stuff is gnarly. It's pretty rough, man. So let's do some notching in it, baton some notches. Just gonna do a regular flat notch right now. Tell you, there's nothing this oak wouldn't hold up to. Stuff is rough. Just cutting through this notch is going to take me a minute, but again, it's just another test of this knife's durability.
As opposed to like some nice soft pine.
Yeah.
So you can lay down on like a pillow. Yeah, this is the wood that typically gets me cursing, and I have to edit it out of the video.
That way. A little slanted on that part. This wood is double tough, guys. So again, that edge is definitely held up. Oh yeah, no worries on that edge. I don't know what he does with his heat treat, but LT's edges hold up under amazing pressure. Nice.
I think it's some sort of witchcraft.
Witchcraft. It's quenched in angel's tears. So, what we haven't talked about with this knife is its affordability. This knife, which will serve as a main knife, is only $75 without sheath, $105 with a sheath, and I pay that for just neck knives, small task neck knives, and this can definitely be used as a main knife. This knife, very impressive, as with most of LT's knives. And you know, people have mentioned like, yo, well, why are you always doing LT knives and stuff like that? It's because
they're awesome.
They're awesome. They're one of the best knives that are out on the market right now. You know, we talk about other knives, we do other knives, but LT always kind of makes his way into those videos, even just because his knives have served me very well over the years.
That's on my hip.
Right now I'm just finishing out this feather stick for tonight's fire. After all that abuse that we've done with this knife, still absolutely razor sharp and doing exactly what I needed to do when I needed to do it. To be honest with you, checking this edge, it doesn't even need to be stropped. And this wood that I'm working with right now is birch wood, so it's not exactly a soft wood. Alright, so customary to every video that we do, we're going to start a little bit of a fire with the knife itself as well. And I'm going to use some birch here. It's really old stuff. See how that does. I'll just use it to light this feather stick. Once that birch gets going, that betulum oil and the birch bark will just keep going. Stuff's like gasoline. But as you can see, that 90-degree spine really kicks a ferro rod. Good thing about a very sharp 90-degree spine knife is that you don't have to sit back and shower and just guess, oh, I hope that those sparks are going to go where I want them to go. With a nice 90-degree spine knife, you can actually kick sparks. And you see, I'm barely even moving my knife. I'm just kicking a spark right where I want it to every single time. That comes into play, especially if you're working with some tenders that are being, you know, not acting the way that you want them to and not lighting. So each spark is bringing up the temperature of that tender up until combustion. So, you know, if you sit back here and just pop once and you're like, oh, it didn't go to flame. Pop it again, oh, it didn't go to flame. No, just keep drilling it. Bring that tinder or whatever you're using, especially natural vegetation of some kind, bring that up to combustion until you get a flame. Just a little tip.
Hey guys, Chris from Prepare Mine 101. I just wanted to, since me and Will are both here, you know, I'm probably not going to do my round in the Gauntlet since we kind of did the same thing. But I wanted to give my 2 cents on this knife. This is, I mean, the whole purpose of this knife is it's a good quality American handcrafted bushcraft knife at a lower cost than what some of the other ones are. Being that this is about 75 bucks without a sheath, and he makes that option because a lot of people have extra sheaths, a lot of people want to get special sheaths made, so on and so forth. But being that this is 1075 high carbon, that's, you know, heat treated by LT, a lot of people have misconceptions about steels, and it drives me kind of crazy. You could have 3 companies that all use 1095 or they all use 1075, and they're not all going to be exactly the same. Steel really becomes the final product in heat treat, and the skill level of the people doing the heat treat, that's going to determine how well that stuff performs. That's why me and Will are always using LT Wright, because I mean, you've seen some of the stuff that I've done to it, bending these things like 25 degrees, and they just snap back and they hold an edge and all that. But this is a Bushcrafter, and I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier, I like that this is made from thinner stock because it just does knife work easier when it's got that thinner edge. We don't always need knives to be 1/4 inch thick. It's, you know, trends, you know, go this way, then they go this way. For a while it was over here toward the pry bar end, and now things, you know, like my Jesmic's going to be 1/8 of an inch, and this is what, 3/32. That just makes it work that much easier when you're trying to do that fine stuff, you know, with an actual bushcraft stuff. So don't look at a number and be like, oh, that's 1075. This is good stuff. I mean, look at what we just did. We used some of the hardest wood that I had available, kiln dried stuff, and it still performed, and it's still sharp. So I always try to caution people about, you know, internet wisdom and parroting and things like that. And also, if you can't tell, this is micarta. When I originally first saw them, I'm like, oh, they got wood handles. You can kind of tell it's micarta now, but when they full up with hand oil and stuff like that, you know, the brown, it's like they almost look like wood, but it is micarta. You know, good quality, high made knife. So, you know, just like all my other LT Wright knives, I mean, this thing's awesome. That's pretty much my 2 cents. Not much else I'm going to add to the equation outside of what Will's already said. So just wanted to throw that in there.
All right, so as both me and Chris have said, this knife is $75 without a sheath and $105 with a sheath. But to be honest with you, I use LT sheaths all the time, constantly. And one of the things that I like about them is that it's all one piece of leather. This is all one piece. And the belt loop back here is just folded over and it's riveted. And the reason why I like that, 9 times out of 10, to be honest with you, I'll take this dangler off because I like them to be right up against my belt, right on my side, right on my hip, just like that. It just depends on what mood I'm in, if I use the dangler or not. But it can just be moved out of the way. But what I really like about these is that since the leather is folded over, I just take some stropping compound and I'll load that up with it. And that way at night, when I take my belt off and I'm getting ready for bed, I just take my knife out. That's a lot of compound, probably more than I needed. I just take my knife off my belt, and that's what I use my blade maintenance with. Just really quickly just drop the knife just back to razor sharp, and it's just really convenient just to have that all in one piece, one little kit. I don't have to go and grab anything out of my bag or anything like that. I just take my belt off, strap it with its own sheath, put it back in after I got, ooh, yeah, that's good to go there.
Should be pretty quick given the thickness.
Yeah. Just put my knife back, put it in my bag, rack out for the night.